quick intro about me. I'm Dr. Rajani Patil. I'm a spine and sports physio. I have about 22 years of experience now in physiotherapy, in sports physiotherapy. My first 10 years were in the US and the rest are here in Mumbai. I run a company called Orthosports Physiotherapy and I'm located in Shivaji Park, Mumbai. Okay, I do a lot of online stuff. I do a lot of online consults as well. So globally, I'm able to help people, especially runners. My passion is to work with runners, really any sports, but running is very close to my heart. I've worked with runners for a very long time. And there are some very specific things that I do for runners from a preventive aspect, like gait analysis, foam rolling, things like that, but also from a treatment perspective. So there's a lot that I do for runners. Some of you already know that. People who don't know can get in touch with me later and we can explore a little bit more. So, the topic today is about core and glutes for runners. Some of you who attended my previous sessions before have heard me talk about the core. So some of you will be already knowing this, but a lot of it should be new to you. Okay. Now, let's talk about the core. I think that core is a hugely misunderstood subject by most runners. Okay? And I'm talking about runners specifically because अगर आप कुछ नहीं करते हो, अगर आप सिर्फ ऑफिस जाते हो और घर आते हो, then I think it's okay if you are not really actively working on your core and if you don't know what the core is about. But if you're an active individual, अगर आप sports खेलते हो, running करते हो, core is something that you should know in and out of, और आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. Because more than understanding what the core is, I find people make mistakes in what they think that they are doing for core. Okay, and I will share with you the exercises that I don't like and the exercises that I love for you to do. Okay, now what are the myths? The myths are these. Everybody across the board thinks that core muscles matlab samne ke abdominal muscles. Okay, am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, most people, and I don't want to generalize, but unfortunately I have to because I've seen so much of this. It's very rampant. Most people think कि अच्छा core strong करना है मतलब abs को strong करना है, six packs आ जाएंगे मेरे. Okay, और मुझे crunches करना है. That's the only way to go, right? So if you know me and if you have ever been in touch with me, I say this all the time: stop doing crunches. Okay, it's not something that you need to do. It's absolutely unnecessary. There are so many more superior exercises that you can do to improve your core. Okay, having said that, so that's a myth. Let's talk about evidence. What does evidence tell us? What does research tell us? Are these facts that I'm making up today? No, these are well-researched facts, and every fact, every research that you look up will tell you that अगर आप core ठीक से strong करते हो, तो this is going to help your spine, it's going to help your life, it's going to help your sports, it's going to help you not getting injured. And that's primarily the reason why you're here, right? You want to run better. You want to make sure that you don't get injuries. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that why you want to learn about the core? Why else would you be here? Okay, now I want you to take a hard look at this checklist. If you are a runner, अगर आप runner हैं और अगर इसमें से something is missing, then you need to take care of it. Okay, just take a look at this list. What I want you to take away from this is that if you are a runner, please pay attention to all of this. The one topic we are covering today is strength and core stability. इसमें से. All right. Now, before we talk about the core, I want you to understand the running mechanics. अगर आप running करते हैं, तो this is the gait cycle that you need to know about. Now, why do I show you the gait cycle? It's because I want you to know what happens when you take, so running comes very easy. Now you just put one foot in front of the other, right? It seems easy. करना क्या है? Shoes डालो और भागो. ऐसा नहीं होता है. You should understand when this foot first comes on contact with the ground, this leg better have enough strength so that your whole body weight it is supporting, correct? Now, where should the strength come from? Should it come from the calf? Should it come from the quad? Should it come from the glutes and the core? Where should it come from? It should, in the whole GAIT cycle, the strength should come from the center of the body, which is the core. Okay, if your core is not strong, do you see what would happen? This knee will collapse, this ankle will collapse if you don't have minimum strength here, if the core is weak. Same thing happens when you are putting your body weight forward. So see, most of the GAIT cycle, you're on one leg. And then if you do exercises which are only lying down, if you don't do unilateral exercises, do you see how your core will always remain weak? And yes, your core is getting stronger, but आप उसको functionally train नहीं कर रहे हो. Meaning, how is this going to translate the strength, going to translate into running strength? Okay, so that's what this is about. Let's look at the next picture. The next picture is about biomechanics of running. So इसमें, what do you see? When does the core come into play? This is the core, mind you, the center of the body, right? So what happens when this foot comes and this foot goes back? This पीछे का leg is just as important as this one, because ये पैर जितना पीछे जाएगा उतना you will get propelled forward. Now this leg will only push off backwards if your glutes are strong. Does that make sense? So the quad, which is here, the thigh muscle, is supposed to only hold you in place. It's not supposed to propel you forward. आपका calf muscle है, that is also supposed to give you stability, not supposed to propel you as much. What's supposed to propel you forward is your core. And these are big muscles. So you understand how big muscles need to work harder, because these are the muscles that give you strength to move forward as opposed to the calf and the quad. So अगर आपको heel pain है, calf cramps ज़्यादा आते हैं, knee pain है, so this can mean that your core is not working very efficiently. Let's look at injuries. Okay, अगर आप runner हो और आपको इसके बारे में कुछ नहीं पता है, so you are very lucky. Let's put it that way. Okay, because every runner at some point has any one of these. I hope you never get any of these, but it's just reality कि कुछ ना कुछ कहीं कहीं pain होता है, but उसको prevent किया जा सकता है. A lot of this can be prevented. I don't know a runner that has been running for some time और एक भी injury नहीं है. Okay, it's a part and parcel of your life. If you are doing any sports, it's not running. अगर आप active हो तो कहीं ना कहीं some of these injuries can crop up. Your job is to prevent it. One, your job is as soon as कुछ चालू होता है, make sure that you fix it quickly. Okay, all these are preventable. They can all go away. The only thing that I worry about is the stress fractures. And stress fracture तब होता है जब आप pain को ignore करते हो और उसका you don't find a solution fast enough. Okay. So moving on from this, let's talk about the core. It's my favorite topic to talk about other than foam rolling. Of course, my foam roller is ready. I will tell you about it in a little bit. So what is the core? The core makes up of some literature says 29. There is some literature that says up to 31 different muscles. Can you believe that? Those are all these muscles that are part of the core that stabilize the center of your body. Think about corset. वो पुराने ज़माने में European women used to wear corset. You know about that? You've seen it in movies, I'm sure. So that area where the woman used to wear the corset, ऊपर से नीचे तक, in the middle of the body, that whole area is the core. All the muscles that make up there. Okay, 29 to 31 muscles of the body. For you, if you thought it was only core, yeah, glutes, you would think, 2 to 3 exercises. That's not true. I'm showing you a picture. Let me show you the picture. That. Okay, let's look at another picture. That. Front and back of the body. All right. So, another one. This is abdominals. Abdominals are 3 muscles. That's it. Okay, there are internal, there are smaller muscles but 3 major muscles that make up the abdominals. Out of 29 to 31, so you see, if you focus only on abdominals, you are creating an imbalance in your core by yourself. खुद जानबूझ के कर रहे हो गलती. right? Now, if you see the core here, the front of the body and the back of the body, they are equally important. So you have to make sure that you work them all together, not just sirf abdominal work kiya, sirf glute work karke chhod diya. That's not how you're supposed to work the core. You're supposed to work all these muscles individually, but also compound exercises to make them all work together. Okay, so let's move ahead. Now, this is your abdominal muscles. This picture I'm showing you right now. Okay, when you do a crunch, अगर आप crunch कर रहे हो और आपको लगता है आप core को work कर रहे हो, now you see the problem with that. When you're working on the abdominal muscles, what about the glutes? What about the lower back? Okay, you can't just do this and leave it. मैं ये नहीं बोल रही हूँ कि crunches कभी करो मत. मैं actually यही बोल रही हूँ. But अगर आप कर रहे हो, you love your crunches, then by all means you continue, but remember that this is not going to help improve your core as a whole. It's working on your abdominal muscles only. Abdominal muscles you do need for running, but your glutes and your core as a whole is what you need to become a better runner, to prevent injuries and to improve your performance as a runner, to help your efficiency as a runner. Okay, so if you know that, by all means keep going on for the core, for the crunches. All right. If अगर आप कोर पे वर्क नहीं करते हो, ये सब मैंने मसल्स दिखाए, उस पे अगर आप एक्सरसाइजेस नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो these are all the things that can happen. Okay, it's all on my slide. Hip pain, knee pain, back pain. For runners, ITP syndrome, leading cause, gluteus medius weakness, gluteus maximus weakness. Okay, all the time we see it. And now just before TMM and just before all these races coming up, everybody is showing up in the clinic with these specific injuries itself. And why? Because the core has not been addressed. और runners क्या बोलते हैं, नहीं नहीं हम तो core exercises बहुत कर रहे हैं, we work full fledged on our core. And then I ask them, अच्छा ठीक है, करके बताओ क्या कर रहे हो? And then they're completely wrong and unilateral, very I don't want to say basic exercises, but I find the foundation is only missing. मतलब ऐसा है कि alphabet नहीं आ रहा है, आपको ABCD अल्फाबेट नहीं आता है, लेकिन आपको कविता लिखनी है और आपको बेस्ट सेलिंग ऑथर बनना है. ओके, इन माय माइंड इट्स लाइक दैट. इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू एक्टिवेट योर ग्लूट मसल्स, if you're not able to activate your gluteus minimus, your glute max separately, how are you working your core? Okay, that's my simple question. And I know a lot of like good athletes, very good athletes, who glute activation, single glute activation basically just means that on your own you are contracting. Okay, now these are the exercises that runners do and they think that they are working on the core. If you have been doing this and you think that these are good exercises and you think that these are helping your core, say guilty in the chat, guilty. If you as a runner, you're doing all these exercises, you've been killing it on the planks, you've been doing hundreds of crunches, lekin you're not able to activate your glute at all, do you think that in running the glutes are working? कितना भी strong रहने दो glutes, okay, कितना भी strong रहने दो, जब आप run कर रहे हो, are they actually working? Most likely not. Okay, there are some tests that you can do and I'll tell you about those to figure out if your core is working when you run or not. The way that I check that in the clinic, I do a process called GAIT analysis in the clinic where I see you run. So when I see you run, I do a slow motion video and I watch how you're running. From looking at you run, I can tell if your core is engaged or not. How do I tell? If your hip is not going further back enough, if your glutes are not contracted well enough, these are all, that's how I'm able to tell. So let's talk about why not these exercises. When you do squats, please understand that squats are amazing form of exercise. Okay, it's not a bad exercise. None of these are bad exercises, by the way. If you are doing these, I'm not telling you कि कल बोलो trainer को बस कल से हम ये नहीं करेंगे. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you can do better. You can do along with these, you can do better, and you need to understand why these may not be working for you. Why? In spite of doing all this, core strong हो ही नहीं रहा है, running improve हो ही नहीं रहा है, injuries आती जा रही है. Okay, squats. Think about squats. Squats, by an exercise itself, it's a compound movement and it uses a lot of muscles. Now, our body is such a very intelligent human body. Okay, what does our body do? अगर समझो एक quadricep weak है, quad is the front thigh muscle. Okay, and I've seen this happen. What will you do when your one quad is weak? You will shift your body weight very slightly. You will not understand. Your trainer may or may not understand. You will shift slightly off from that side so that the other side is working harder. So what happens to this quad? It's still weak क्योंकि उसने काम तो किया ही नहीं. What about the glute? If the left glute is weak, what is your body going to do? Somehow squat करना है, right? The squat needs to happen. It's going to happen. Squat होगा नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. Squat होगा. कौन से muscles use हो रहे हैं? The ones that are already strong are going to work. The ones that are weak are just going to go for the ride. Does that make sense? Yeah. So then you are not really strengthening anything, right? कुछ strong तो हो ही नहीं रहा है. Now think about lunges. Lunges in that way is slightly better, but I find people doing them wrong. But also if you do lunges, again, same principle, right? Lot of different muscles are working together. The same thing happens. The glutes do not get stronger. Abs do not get stronger. It helps to create an imbalance even more and more and more. Okay, now planks. Planks actually are decent exercises. Okay, now I'm talking about elbow plank, ye wala. As a runner, you should be probably focusing on the side planks better more than the regular elbow planks. Okay, those will probably give you more than a regular plank, elbow plank. But जो भी plank करते हैं वो लोग क्या use कर रहे हैं? They are overusing their shoulders, they are using their calves to hold on for dear life. नहीं, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes तो करना ही है plank आज कैसे भी. जहां से भी strength आएगी वहां से करेंगे. Okay, so elbow, shoulder pain आ जाएगा, lower back pain आ जाएगा because you start to dip because your core is not strong. Why? Because you've not activated your abdominal muscles, you've not activated your glute muscles before doing them. Same thing with crunches. Crunches तो I find are extremely unnecessary. करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. In fact, if you've ever had back pain in the past, please avoid these. Okay, deadlift. Deadlift, I also do deadlifts. However, you have to be very careful with how you do them. Again, principle is same. You're not working one specific muscle. It's a compound exercise. You can put excessive pressure on the disc of the back. बहुत pressure आता है disc पे if you don't do it right. So your glutes better be strong before you do deadlifts. And how do you know they're strong? When you can activate them and isolate glutes and do those exercises. Okay, with me so okay, so now what do you do? The question is that now what should you do? अगर ये exercises abandon कर दिए आपने, what are you going to do? So let's look at first you want to assess, right? You want to know how strong your core is. How will you check that? Sirf doing a plank is not probably such a great test. However, you can do side planks to check. Now, these are the structures that I generally check because if your hip is stiff, hip muscles, especially hip flexors, hip ke aage ke muscles, agar ye if they are tight, so you can imagine if your hip flexors, the muscles through here are stiff, the glute max is not going to work because range hi nahi hai na. So this needs to open out before the glute can work. So make sure that you're working on foam rolling and stretching your hip complex. Hip range of movement, lower back has to be open, your hamstrings have to be open, and your QL, which is a muscle in the back. These muscles need to be nice and open before you work on your glutes and core. Okay. So this is something that I check. I can tell you more in detail if you want to know more about it. Now, if you want to do a quick core checkup, how would you do? I would go with the side plank. Check your side plank, see how well you're able to do. Now, A lot of these tests are qualitative as well as quantitative. Okay, all tests, you understand the difference between qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative is to failure. Kitna time aapne kiya side plank. However, is that the only judge? No. The quality is important. So if you're doing a side plank and I can see कि बहुत shaky है या hips drop होते जा रहे हैं या पूरा body weight shoulder पे shift हो गया है and the core is not really working, I'm telling you to stop the plank. Okay, because now the quality of the plank is not good. So do a side plank, do it in front of maybe a mirror or put it in front of your phone so you're able to see the quality of the plank and then time it. That's a great test. A seal is basically you're on your tummy and both your arms are up or hands behind your lower back and you're lifting your upper body and lower body together. Okay, on your tummy, upper body, lower body, both are lifted off. How high you are coming up, that's a measure, that's quality, but also how long you can hold this position is quantity. So generally 1 to 2 minutes is what we are looking for, ideally, for both of these tests. Single leg squats is another test that I do. This is more qualitative than quantitative. As a lay person, आपको ये देख के नहीं समझेगा कि इसमें core अच्छा है कि नहीं. But I can give you one guideline. When you're doing a single leg squat, I'll just show you this one. When you're doing a single leg squat, you want to make sure that the knee is gliding straight ahead. But if it's gliding this way, collapsing inwards, it means that your core and glute is not strong. So you can do that test in front of a full length mirror and check. Okay, bridge with SLR is also, this is basically a gold standard to check the core. Bridge with SLR is, everybody knows a plain bridge. Wait, I'll show you this one. Bridge with SLR is basically bridge and leg forward. Okay, I don't know how many of you saw that. So you're doing a plain bridge and then you're lifting one leg up and holding that. So this one again, qualitative, hips cannot drop down, both hips need to stay on the same line. Quantitative, how long can you keep the leg up without dropping down? Okay. So these are some tests that you can do. Of course, these are ultimate tests. Planks with all kind of variations. Okay, all right. My top exercises start with a basic glute activation. Okay, now when should you do this? You should do this along with deep breathing. You should do this before you go out to the run. All you're doing is you're standing just before your run and you're tightening your glutes. Okay, just squeeze them. You can do single, you can do bilateral. If you're finding this to be difficult along with breathing, then this is the first step that you need to work on. Okay, a lot of people, you'll be surprised how many people are not able to do actively activation of glutes. That's your number one exercise. Second one, before you go out to run, you foam roll your hip. So inner thigh, outer thigh, front of the thigh, glutes, hamstrings, all of that just foam roll before you go out to run, and then your glutes will start firing while you are running. Okay, that's an important one. And I generally prefer foam rolling after run. I like to use it as a recovery. However, for the glutes, to help the glutes work better, to help the core work better, if you foam roll, maybe 3 or 4 minutes only you need to spend on these specific muscles, and then you go out, you see how it transforms your run. I hope everybody knows about foam rolling. There are some people who've never been to my session. In every single session, I talk about the foam roller. Okay, every single session, मैं कहीं तो डाल ही देती हूँ foam roller को हर एक session में. So if you have not ever attended my session, then you may not know about it. You must, as a runner, own a foam roller. If you don't, please buy one today. Sunday है, जाके ले आओ. Which one will you buy? So there are two types, right? One is a plain one is a grid one. It depends if you're a new, absolute new runner or planning to start to run, then this one chal jayega. But if you are a little bit ambitious, you want to run 2 to 3 times a week, you want to get to a half marathon or things like that, then this is the one that you should buy. Okay, foam rolling must be a part of your regime. It's going to help your core get stronger, and it's going to help prevent all kinds of injuries for you. Now, the third type of exercise that I want you to do is to isolate your core and glutes by doing some corrective exercises. What are these? Gluteus max का specific exercise होना चाहिए, lying on your tummy. Gluteus medius का exercises होना चाहिए, which are those clamshell variations that you know about. Okay, but you should also do standing isolated core and glute. The one that I tell my runners to do just before they go, along with glute activation, I have them do fire hydrant in standing. I'll show you that one. Wait. Standing fire hydrant is basically, some of you might know this. So loop band around your knees like that, bend forward, knee bend. So this will work your gluteus medius, the outer thigh muscle, the outer hip muscle. And then from here, you push back. Okay, this is an excellent exercise to do before you go out for your runs, but also in your strength training, just include that somewhere, right? The loop, obviously, make it as hard as you need it. If it's too easy, it's not going to help you. If it's too hard, range nahi milegi. Okay, the fourth type is single leg drills, which is what? Standing on one leg, doing plyometric kind of stuff. That will help a lot. The fifth one is kinetic chain activation. Now, this is a bigger topic, and there's a lot more that I can talk about this, but basically what it means, when you run, your brain, your glutes, your core, and your foot, they are all connected. This is the kinetic chain of the body. However, when we run, we think that, okay, हमारा breathing अलग चलना चाहिए, foot अलग चलना चाहिए, glutes क्या कर रहा है पता नहीं. Okay, it's very disconnected. We need to activate the whole chain by doing some exercises, which are kinetic chain activation exercises. So I do have some videos on my channel. You can look those up. Okay, all right. Now, so these are my top 5 exercises for you guys. Look at this again. This is just to help you understand that there is so much more that you should be doing. You tell me which of this is one that you will go back and work on. Core and glutes, now you've understood. You need to either work with your physio, I can help you, or with your coach to figure out specific exercises. Again, all exercises, corrective exercises, should base on a assessment, because what Reena's strengths and weaknesses are very different from Sonali's. Okay, so everybody is very different. No two runner is the same. So an assessment is where you need to start. If you know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, you can work on those weaknesses and double down on your strengths. So if you want to get a strength assessment done, please ping me. We will send you on the group. What you can do, either ideally I would like to see you in the clinic where I can see you run as well, but if not, then let me know. We can do an online session for people who are not from Mumbai. Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys, for coming, and I will see you in the next session. And put your questions in the group and I'll take them there. Okay, bye.